Hello everybody and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops, and we're here at the brand new Loves Field, the home of 8-time national champion Oklahoma Sooner softball.
Yeah, we just had a chance to visit with Patty Gasso, four straight national champions. So just here in their beautiful stadium, it's really cool.
Yeah, and if you haven't had a chance to see Coach's interview with Coach Gasso, check it out. The facilities here are absolutely amazing. You know what else is amazing? The Palace on the Prairie just down the street, where Oklahoma will be playing host prime time to Alabama. The number 7 team in the country will come here for the ABC National Game of the Week. Herb Street, Fowler, everybody will be here. It'll be a lot of fun. Coach, what does Oklahoma have to do to beat Alabama?
Well, first of all, believe you can beat them, and we're that kind of team that we will. And Coach Venables and the staff will instill that in them. And you know, we were a bigger underdog in the Sugar Bowl 2013. So we managed to win by 14. So you never know what can happen. We need to take care of the football, hit some big plays, quarterback get hot, defense keep playing great like they have, and and then you've got a chance.
And you talk about this over and over again. Control the things you can control. Number 1, turnovers. Oklahoma's 5-0 when they win the turnover battle. They're 0-5 when they lose the turnover battle.
And that's about the same with everybody. You know, every now and then you get an outlier, but more than anything, taking care of that football is such a big deal. And, hopefully we will, and then make a few plays, play great defense, and limit their run game, and you've got a chance. Continue to play great with our special teams. Our kickers have been incredible. So, you just got to put it all together one night.
Now, one thing the OU has been really struggling with, it's just health. They've had a number of people out. I remember there was a time when all 5 wide receivers were out for the majority of the season. That's also allowed, though, Oklahoma to play a lot of young freshmen. Now that it's the end of the season, they're really not freshmen anymore.
No, they've got a lot of experience, and I'm excited. Xavier Robinson, right, to watch him play, and it sounds like he's set to go and play, so I'm excited for all these young guys. We've got a lot of good players, and we've got to put it all together one night.
Now, Xavier Robinson became a star in that Missouri game in that fourth quarter. The big question out there was, would he play in this game, because he would give up that redshirt year? And I loved his response. I get to play against Alabama at the University of Oklahoma. You bet I'm going to play.
Absolutely, and I just felt my back half of my years, we're wasting our time redshirting guys, because they're either good enough to go to the NFL in their 4th year, they're not taking a 5th year, or they're, truthfully, if they haven't played and some of them, weren't in a position to play, they got beat out, they're going to leave anyway. So why worry about redshirting them? It's hard to be in a place anymore 5 years. It really is. It's so much work. It's just, so don't worry about it. Just play them.
And the other thing, you can, of course, control the penalties. Oklahoma's had a number of penalties this year. They just cannot give the free yardage away to Alabama.
No question. Those third down penalties, or, first you get a holding call on 1st and 10. Now it's 1st and 20. You're going to end up punting, as well as catching the ball. Usually 80% of the time, if a guy drops a ball, you're going to end up punting, giving the ball up. So, we got to play a clean game and a smart game.
And hopefully we'll have a great crowd here Saturday night. And again, our thoughts and prayers are, of course, with Coach Venables' wife.
Absolutely.
He talked about that her cancer has returned, that she has had surgery, and she is going to fight with all her might to defeat it.
Yeah, Julie's a beautiful woman, and so I pray all the time for Julie, Brent, his whole family, and everyone else out there. Prayers matter.
Amen. All right, so let's talk about it. It's the game. Oklahoma's a 14-point underdog against number 7 Alabama, who's looked very, very good this year. Obviously, they beat Georgia. They dominated Missouri. What are your thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, we got to control the quarterback. Milroe, to me, is he's a big deal, and mostly with his running. So if we can control him, we'll have a chance. And offensively, like we talked about, take care of the football, get a few big plays, control the ball, get a little bit of run game going, and play a smart game with penalties and turnovers.
Yeah, 6 weeks ago, the offensive line just was not consistent in the blocking schemes. Now they're doing much better in the run game. Xavier Robinson obviously helps them. The young backfield for Oklahoma helps them. And again, if they cannot turn the football over, OU's got a shot in winning this game.
Yeah, definitely. We've said that, and but you got to make plays, and defense got to be great. So, but we can do it. And like I said, we were a bigger underdog, in 2013 in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, I was at that game, and thank you. That was a lot of fun. That was an enjoyment. But the hard part is we couldn't find any championship gear after the game because all they made was Alabama gear. That was a lot of fun. We were like, yeah, you can go sell that somewhere else. All right, let's talk about the other big game out this week. You've got Indiana at Ohio State. Indiana has been impressive all year, but the reality is they haven't played a single team with a winning record that will be bowl eligible so far, but they have looked impressive.
That Kurt Cignetti's done a great job. Their whole staff, really a good football team. I think Ohio State's overall talent will be a little bit too much for them to handle. So I would take Ohio State winning it fairly comfortably, in this game because of the talent level, and I believe it's at Ohio State, right?
It is.
That makes a difference. So Indiana, again, hasn't played a tough schedule, but I'm still a believer in them. They're a good football team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. I mean, Ohio State in the offseason, they built this team. They recruited it. They used the transfer portal. They were made for this moment at home. It's going to be rocking with that crowd. There's a reason why Ohio State is a 14-point favorite in this contest against a undefeated 10-0 Indiana team. And I think it goes back to the basics. They just have more assets on the field with all that talent.
Yeah, talent like that, and then being at home. And again, I don't know that Indiana's really been tested with a team that's, close to as talented as Ohio State.
Another undefeated team finds themselves as a 2-touchdown underdog, and that is Army traveling to Notre Dame. This is an interesting dynamic, though, because of the way that Army controls the football by running it. Will Notre Dame have the opportunity to win by 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to say take Army with the points, but the way Notre Dame has played overall, they're playing well, and they're familiar with these triple option teams, and they played, was it Air Force Air Force earlier in the year and dominated them. But Army's a different deal though with this offense. So I'm going to take Army with the points, but I think Notre Dame will win the game.
I agree with you, Coach. I think Notre Dame is a great football team. I think they've really rebounded since the start of the season. I think they've truly been one of the 5 best, most consistent teams since the beginning of the year. But boy, Army's really good. The way they run the football, they're going to go 4 downs every series.
They're going to go for 4th down all the time because it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 1 most of the time.
I like Notre Dame winning, but I like them under that stretch, that spread, which is now 15 points. All right, another big game, Ole Miss at Florida. Yeah, Florida that was left for dead. They dominated LSU last week. They're now at 5-5, looking for bowl eligibility. But against arguably the hottest team in the country in the Ole Miss Rebels, the Rebels are favored by 11 points on the road at the Swamp.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Gators in the points. They're feeling a little something here lately. I think that last win last week is going to juice them up a little bit. And I just think they'll play them tighter than that, but I fear that Ole Miss will still win. I always root for the Gators.
Yeah, I think DJ Lagway coming back for Florida, you saw the team without them against Texas.
Right.
They were not very good. With a 5-star true freshman with a lot of dynamic playmaking ability, he's going to give them a shot. But again, in this game, there's a reason why there's an 11-point favorite in Ole Miss. They're really, really good. Just ask Georgia. I like Ole Miss winning the game, but I like it closer than 11 points.
Yeah, that's what I think. But Ole Miss is playing well. But I think this is going to charge the Gators up that win last week.
All right, interesting point spread margin. You've got Texas A&M on the road at Auburn. Auburn 4-6 on the year. A&M 8-2. Texas A&M is only favored by 2 points on the road. Surprised?
I am surprised. I think they've played well, and Auburn's been so up and down that I'd go with Texas A&M. They've got a lot still out in front of them to play for. Auburn doesn't, so I think they'll play well, A&M.
Yeah, I think a lot of the changeover, a lot of the injuries, who's going to be a quarterback for Auburn. There's a lot more questions on that team side than on Texas A&M. Texas A&M's fighting for a chance in the SEC championship game and a college football playoff. I like what you say, Coach. There's just a lot more on the bone there.
Yeah, they got a lot to play for, and I believe they'll come out and play that way. That Coach Mike Elko, there's done a great job. So, I see them winning in that game.
Yeah, great point spread there if you're taking Texas A&M. All right, Kentucky The Stoops brothers taking on the Texas Longhorns. Texas favored by 21 points, but it goes back on Kentucky. If the Kentucky team that played so well against Ole Miss, played so well against Georgia shows up, they can beat Texas. But if they're inconsistent like the South Carolina team, they're going to lose.
Yeah, that's right. And they've been up and down, Kentucky has this year, and playing clean, smart, good football, and then they haven't. But I'm going to take them, Kentucky, because they're my brothers over there. But with the points, I think that's a lot of points.
Yeah, my favorite team is Oklahoma. My second favorite team is anybody playing Texas, so that is Kentucky this week. All right, moving on. Prime time. Deion Sanders, Colorado, going to Kansas. Colorado 8-2, Kansas 4-6, but boy, Kansas has looked good the last 2 weeks. Colorado favored by 2.5 points on the road at Kansas.
I think Kansas is starting to feel something. You just, for no other reason than they're at home, the point spread's that close. I'm going to go with Kansas to have an upset win and beat Colorado.
I agree.
Although they've done a great job. You got to give Coach Prime and his son's a heck of a great quarterback. All of it. Travis Hunter probably win the Heisman, so good for them. But, you know, it just seems like KU now is starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, the amazing turnaround that Deion has done at Colorado is special, and he has told everybody that he is staying at Colorado. He's not going to the NFL or to another program, which is great to see. But I'm with you, Coach. Look at the losses of Kansas, how they were up in the fourth quarter. They were close. The turnovers got them. The penalties got them. Guess what's happened the last few weeks? They're not turning the ball over, and they're not getting penalties, the recipe to win games.
Yeah, they got a good team. Coach Kleiman there does a great job. They've got good players. So, you know, I just think being at home is going to make a difference for them.
Yeah, and a lot on the line for Kansas. If you don't win, you're not going to a bowl game. So I like Kansas at home to beat Colorado. All right, number 14, BYU at number 21, Arizona State. Arizona State, a surprise team this year at 8-2. They are the home favorite with 2 losses by 3 points.
They're hot. I'm with Arizona State on this. They're strong. They're good. Going to Kansas State and winning soundly, it shows a lot of toughness, character. So the running back, I'm not going to try and say his name,
but he's good.
He's a great player. I love watching him. Really tough. So I'm going to go with Arizona State.
Yeah, and Arizona State, of course, beat Kansas. I like Arizona State at home. All right, so we just had the new college football playoff poll released. You have Oregon at number 1. Ohio State 2, Texas, the only SEC team in the top 6. Notre Dame at number 6. You've got Alabama 7, Miami 8, Ole Miss 9, Georgia 10. Georgia, interesting, has beaten 3 of the teams ranked in the college football playoff rankings. What do you think about the SEC and how they're rated so far in this top 12?
Yeah, obviously they're not looking at all at strength of schedule. You know, it just doesn't seem like to me. So in the end, I'm careful to jump too much on it with 2 more regular season games and championship games coming. But I think you have to look at, you know, who people have played, who they've beaten, and you know, and take that into consideration more. And I think you'd see more probably of the SEC teams up there a little closer.
And Lane Kiffin made some headlines this week when he said, hey, there are some coaches in the SEC that if they qualify for the SEC championship game would prefer possibly to not play in the SEC championship game because they'd be a lock for the college football playoff, and he's worried a 3rd loss for a 2-loss SEC team would kick them out of the playoff.
And that's where you have to look at, you're going to have the best 2 teams in a conference playing each other. That should be a bonus for whoever wins, but it should not be a penalty for someone that's played in it, and that needs to be addressed, because that's ridiculous if it is, because it makes no sense to play in it.
Yeah, again, that 3rd loss would have been to the SEC champion in a bonus game. I think if anyone is in that championship game in the SEC, they should definitely be in that 12-team playoff. All right, remember, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link. For college football's Hall of Famer Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen.